What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Samson, and in today's video, unfortunately, we're talking about the time that I got pulled over for doing 150 in a 70-mile-per-hour zone on the highway. Now, let me give you a little bit of background. I have had my fair share of speeding tickets. I would consider myself to be a good driver, but I'm definitely a fast driver. I feel like a lot of times speed limits are somewhat useless, especially if you're on a highway, there's light traffic. If you're on a back road, country road, and it's light traffic and the speed limit is 55, I don't see why. And I've driven behind folks that are going over that speed limit. And so I've definitely got my fair share of speeding tickets. Some of them have been reckless, unfortunately, because in North Carolina, if you're going at least 15 over, then they have grounds to be able to charge you with reckless driving. However, with that being said, the situation that occurred when I got pulled over happened last year, 2022, in November. And since all the legal proceedings and everything are over, I can actually talk about it now and sort of let you guys in on it. And there's going to be two lessons to learn from this. The first lesson is going to be to always just try to your best to be cooperative. And the second lesson is going to be to always make sure that you buy a dash cam and always have it rolling. If you don't have a dash cam, do your best to go get one now, and it'll save you a whole lot of headache down the road. So there was a Saturday night, and I was actually coming from a party. Now, when I went to the party, I had on the proper party attire, like, jeans. I had on a long sleeves, like suede type shirt. And it was in November, so it was like decently cold outside. It was probably in the 40s. However, when I left the party, I decided to change clothes because of the simple fact I'm used to, with me being an athlete, I'm used to wearing loose fitting clothes. And so I don't like really wearing jeans or dress pants or anything like that. So I ended up changing into a pair of jogging pants and a regular t-shirt. And I started, I left, I was in Farmville at the time, and I left to come back to Greenville to ECU. And I had to take Highway 264, which is a 70-mile-per-hour highway. And I ended up taking that highway from Farmville to Greenville. There is an exit on that highway where there's a speedway. And at the time, I needed some gas, so I stopped and I got some gas. And went in and I got me like an apple juice or something, and I came back out and I called one of my homeboys that was out of town. He didn't go to the party with me or whatever, but we're real close. So I thought I'd talk to him on the way home, so to just relax, chill and everything, and just just drive home. It was like a nice night, even though it was cold, it was clear skies. So I was just sort of chill, just came back from a party I was trying to wind down. So I get on the highway, I'm traveling for probably about 15 minutes, and I come up on a median. And in the median, there were two North Carolina state troopers. And the funny thing is, one of them was facing the opposite way. One of them was facing the direction that I was going. But the funny thing is, one of them was outside of the car shining a flashlight as traffic was going by. Now, I say as traffic was going by, but it was really only, I don't know, maybe one or two cars ahead of me. And that's how I was able to see him like shining the flashlight on the cars as they were going by. And, but I thought it was sort of peculiar, but I didn't think much of it. And so I had my cruise control set on. I was going 72 at the time. Like I said, I was just sort of chillaxing on the phone, trying to wind down a little bit from the party. And when the state trooper, when he shined his flashlight on me as I passed by, instinctively, I look in the rearview mirror and I see the state trooper and the other state trooper as well, both of them get into their cars. And then I see, them put the cars in drive and, of course, pull out. And so I'm the only car that had just passed, because the next car that was behind me was a ways back. It was probably like, I don't know, a quarter mile back. And so I knew that they had to be coming for me. And I thought it was a little weird. So I was on the phone with my friend. I was like, uh-oh. I said, and he asked me what was going on. And I said, the state troopers were outside shining their lights. I said, and for whatever reason, they're getting in the car and they're coming behind me. I said, but I'm going the speed limit technically. I was going 72. I know it's 70, but I was like, I'm not doing anything illegal. So I'm cool, and I'm a law-abiding citizen from the sense of I don't smoke weed, I rarely drink, I don't do drugs. So I knew as far as and my window tint is legal, it's 35%. So I knew as far as my car goes, as far as anything inside the car goes, as far as anything that I had done, period, that I was gonna be good. And so yeah, they get behind me and they pull me over, and I'm sitting there, waiting for the officers to come. And one officer comes to my driver's side window, and the other officer comes to my passenger side window. So I roll it down, and the officer, he first thing he says is, he says, "How you doing tonight, sir?" And I said, "I'm doing good." I said, "Why did you pull me over?" I said, "I wasn't speeding." He said, "Well, we think you ran from us earlier." And I said, "Ran from y'all?" I said, what do you mean I ran from y'all?" He said, "Well, we think that you ran from us earlier." He said, "We have a vehicle description of a gold car with black rims, and I believe that you ran from us earlier." And I said, "Well, I just came back from a party." I said, "And I just got on the highway, probably about 15 minutes back." I said, "I haven't ran from anybody." And for reference, gold car with black rims, my Nissan Maxima, I'll put a picture of it up here on the screen. My Nissan Maxima is very distinctive. It is a beige type color, and it does have black rims. However, it also has an exhaust system. It also has 4 brake lights because I installed a spoiler on it aftermarket, and the spoiler came with the brake light, and I wired it in. It has 4 brake lights. It has some arrow bits on it for aesthetics. So my Nissan, like I said, I'll put a picture on the screen. It stands out. And so if I'm the car that you're looking for, there is absolutely no doubt in anybody's mind. There isn't going to be any thinking. There isn't going to be any type of assumptions. There is no doubt that it's going to be my car because my car stands out. And so he says, well, sir, what I would like for you to do is I would like for you to get out the car for me. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And I did just like that. I was like, "Come on, bro, are you kidding me?" And then he was like, "Come on now." He said, "Just go ahead and get out the car." He said, "Let's just make this easy." So I go ahead and I told my boy, and he on the phone the whole time. I told him, I said, "Bro," I said, "just stay on the phone, okay?" And I'm not one for all the politics and all the, getting into the economics and stuff like that. But there has been a lot of recent news involving police and, the American people. And so I just told him, I said, "Bro, stay on the phone just in case something happens." And I get out the car, and the first thing they do, of course, they pat me down. And then after they pat me down, they put me in handcuffs and detain me. And so I'm sitting out there on the road. We were on the side of the highway. And, like I said, just driving home, and I'm detained in handcuffs. And so me and the officer, we're talking, and he said, "We have a report that vehicle matching your description ran from us earlier." And I said, "Well, when did the vehicle run from you?" And he just said, "It ran from us earlier." And I said, "Well, if you let me know when earlier was," I said, "I've been at a party for the last 2 hours." I said, "I just got on the highway 15 minutes ago, and I haven't ran from anybody. I've just been driving. I've been on cruise control." You can even ask the person that's on the phone, even though I know, technically that wouldn't even matter because, of course, they would assume the person's going to take my side. But, I haven't done anything out of the ordinary. And he said, "You just need to go ahead and admit that you ran from us." He said, "Because if you don't admit that you ran from us, we're going to end up taking you to jail." And I said, "Officer," "this is really a misunderstanding." I said, "I haven't," and I'm laughing and I'm chuckling, not because it's only funny to me, but it's also because I'm nervous because it's like, okay, I might get taken to jail for doing something that I didn't do, period. And so he said, "You just need to go ahead, and if you keep lying to me and you keep saying that you didn't run from us, I'm going to take you to jail. So you need to just go ahead and tell me the truth." And I said, "I'm telling you the truth." I said, "I have not done anything. I've just been driving tonight." And then he said, "Well, where's your license?" And I said, well, I said, it's in the passenger seat of my car because I had my wallet. It's sitting in the passenger seat at the time. I said, would you like me to get it? I said, because I don't consent to anybody being in my car. And he said, where is it again? I said, it's on the passenger seat. He said, well, would you mind us just reaching in and grabbing it real quick? And I said, okay. I said, you can just grab just the license. I said, there's nothing illegal in the car. There's nothing wrong. I said, I just don't feel like having my car torn up tonight. And so the second officer went and he got my license out of the car, and he went and he handed it to the officer that was questioning me. And then the second officer, he left and went back to his patrol vehicle. And the first officer, he was still talking to me. He was like, son, he said, you're young. He said, and this can go one of two ways. He said, either you can start telling me the truth. He said, or if you keep lying to me, I'm going to have to take you to jail. And at this point, he's almost trying to coerce me into relaying the message to him that I was the person that they're looking for when I'm not the person that they're looking for. And so he talked about it, and we were talking about it for a few minutes. Then the other officer came back from his car with the breathalyzer. Now, like I said, I had been to a party, but like I also said earlier, I rarely drink, and I hadn't been drinking at this party because I knew I was going to be driving back. And so the funny thing to me was when he came with the breathalyzer. And of course, I went on ahead and blew because I didn't have nothing to hide, and it came back all zeros. And you can hear him let out an audible, like disappointing, almost like a damn, like he was just disappointed that it didn't come back with anything. And so the other officer, he went back to the car, back to the officer that was questioning me, went back to his patrol car. And I guess he was running my license to see if I had any type of, warrants or anything like that. And the officer that had just breathalyzed me stood there with me. And I asked him, I said, what was your purpose for breathalyzing me? And he said, well, I thought I smelled alcohol on your breath. Now, me knowing that I hadn't drunk anything, and them also having to know that I hadn't drunk anything because there was no alcohol on my breath because I hadn't drunk anything. The only reason that he breathalyzed me was because he correlated me being at a party and me being the age that I am with drinking. And that's partially my fault because even though I'm trying to be as transparent as possible, you're also supposed to stay a little bit reserved and not talk too much to get yourself in a bind. But I knew I didn't do anything wrong, period, throughout the whole night. And so the only reason he breathalyzed me was not because of what he said about smelling alcohol on my breath. The only reason he breathalyzed me was because he heard I had been to a party. That was it. And so in that sense, you can already tell this is that type of stop. And so the other officer comes back and he says, son, he says, I'm going to give you one more chance. He said, I'm going to give you one more chance to tell me the truth. He said, or we're going to have to take a ride tonight. And I said, listen, I said, I don't know what else you want me to tell you. I said, does this make any sense? I ran from y'all, but I'm driving down the highway on cruise control. And when y'all pull out and light me up, I said, I pull right over. I said, I'm being completely honest and transparent. I stepped out of the car. I'm not doing anything wrong or illegal. I said, so if I was the person y'all were looking for, why would I pull over if I knew this was how this was going to go? If I knew that I had did something illegal and running from y'all earlier, why would I just pull over instead of flooring it or whatever the case is? And, and so he talked to me a little bit more. And then I told him, and I said, look, I said, I'm not trying to go to jail tonight. I said, so if you want to write me a ticket, I said, can you just write me a ticket? I said, and I'll fight it in court because I know I haven't done nothing wrong. I said, and I'm telling you the truth and you're choosing not to believe me. I said, I don't know what else to tell you, but I'm not admitting to doing anything that I didn't do. And I said, so if you could just write me a ticket and I'll just go ahead and I'll try to fight it in court. And he said, okay. And so he went back to his car And the other officer, he went on ahead and he took me out of the handcuffs. And I almost forgot to tell y'all, the whole time I was in the handcuffs, like I said, it was like 40 degrees. And so I had a coat in the car. And the other officer that had breathalyzed me, he was standing out there beside me. Like I said, we were talking earlier. And I was cold because, like I said, I had on jogging pants and I had on a short sleeve T-shirt. They had on, of course, like their bulletproof vests, but long sleeves and actual jacket on. And I asked the officer, I said, can you grab my coat out of the front seat so that you can like at least drape it over me or something? And he was like, no, I can't do that for you. And I was like, come on, bro. I said, it's freezing out here. Like, and y'all got me out here just standing. I said, you can't grab it at all? And he said, no, I can't do that for you at all, sir. And so I said, okay. But anyway, they ended up taking the handcuffs off of me, and I went and sat back in the car. And he came back and he handed me a ticket. And the ticket that he handed me was for 121 miles per hour in a 70. And when I looked at it, I said, are you kidding me? I said, so this is the ticket that you're going to give me. He said, we clocked the person that ran from us, or he said, we clocked the person that ran from us at 150. He said, but I'm knocking it down to try to do you a favor. I said, okay, it's cool. And I took the ticket and I went on ahead and I, put my seatbelt and everything on. And then I cranked the car up and I drove off and I went to my apartment. And after I went to my apartment, of course, I had to settle down and everything. I was talking to my boy on the way back. He was like, you good? You good? Making sure everything was cool. And I had to settle down and everything. The next day, I went to go speak with the lawyer to try to get it, get the situation handled. I explained to him everything that went on. And he said, I actually had a case not too long ago where there was a guy in a Dodge Challenger Hellcat that ended up getting pulled over for basically the same thing. His Hellcat matched the description of another Hellcat or another Challenger that had ran from the police earlier in the day or something. He said he ended up getting pulled over and ended up going through this whole debacle with the police. And I said, okay. I said, so can you help me with it? He said, yeah. He said, well, in order for us to fight it, he said, you're looking at a minimum of $5,000. And I don't have $5,000 to spend on any type of court fees, a lawyer, whatever the case is. He said, however, he said, with your story being the way that it is, he said, what I would like to do, he said, is actually go and see if I can talk to the officer and get him to just sort of rescind the charge, which I knew wasn't going to happen because of how much of for lack of a better word, asshole the officer was being when we were sitting out there that night. And the fact that, I'm sitting here telling him something and he's not believing me, I already knew that wasn't going to work. So he went and tried to talk to the officer. The officer didn't want to rescind anything. He said, we got one more option. He said, if you pay us $500, he said, we'll just go ahead and do the regular, guilty plea, and we'll just try to get everything reduced. He said, and I'll talk to the judge and the district attorney and let them know the situation. He said, and we'll see what we can try to do for you. And so with that being the more economical option for me, that's the option that I decided to go. I couldn't represent myself because not only am I not that knowledgeable about how the whole court system and everything works, I also don't have any dash cam footage. I don't have anything to prove my innocence except for the person that was on the phone with me. That's it. I don't have anything else to prove it. And because the party I just went to a party. I didn't actually know any people there. And so I didn't have anything to prove except for the person that was on the phone with me. And when I actually, ended up talking to the lawyer and he went through the whole process of trying to get everything resolved, the person that was on the phone with me did actually do like a written letter that had to be notarized. And I gave that to my lawyer as well as some other stuff to prove, that I'm a good citizen because I had won some awards while I was here at ECU for, academics and stuff like that. And so that's how that whole process went. And I ended up getting a few points on my license for a ticket that should have never been my ticket, because it's something that I didn't even do. Because they ended up going to court and getting some of the stuff dismissed, but they couldn't dismiss the speed. That was just too much. And so ended up having to do community service, a driving course, and then of course, I think it was like 2 or 3 points for that ticket. And so the lesson from all this is, make sure whenever you guys, if you were ever in this situation, God forbid, just make sure that you actually take your time, get your thoughts together, and just cooperate as best you can so that you can go home safely that night. And also, get yourself a dash cam. If I had a dash cam, then this would have negated not only the allegations that the officer put against me for something that had nothing to do with me, but this also would have negated the lawyer fees, because I would have had my own proof that I could have shown in court, and it would have saved me a whole lot of headache and time in this situation. And so that's the time I got pulled over for doing 150 in a 70 mile per hour. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you guys have had any type of incidents like this. I got a few more videos coming of some wild stuff that's happened. But yeah, comment and let me know if you guys have any type of experiences like this. And if you think I should have did something different, or something that you would have did different. And until next time, love you guys. Peace.